I clearly have been watching a lot of Daniel Green.
Coolsville sucks.
What you call an icon living? Puerto Rican little mistress just did it. I love over 5 minutes. Whoa, me up too hot in the place.
He is one of my favorite bigger booktubers, and I've been absolutely obsessed with his channel. And a series he has on this channel is Why You Should Read. And I actually really like that idea. Clearly that's where I got the idea for this video from. I want to try to convince people to read my favorite books, and this will give me a chance to do separate reviews on my channel because I don't do a lot of reviews on my channel, and one of my goals for this year is to do a lot of reviews. So the first video in this series is going to be Why You Should Read Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. I just reread this book specifically for this video. I absolutely love Ninth House. I'm not the biggest Leigh Bardugo stan. I liked Six of Crows. I hated the Shadow and Bone series. Well, I love Shadow and Bone. I hated the other two books. But this one, I'm more into like adult books, so this book was kind of right up my alley. Once I heard it was Dark Academia, I was like, sign me up. We love Dark Academia. Even though I've never read The Secret History, I stan Dark Academia. And so I immediately had to read this book. But I'm finally going to tell you guys what this book is about. This book is about Alex, who can see graves, which are ghosts, and she's basically she goes to Yale where they have secret societies, and she's kind of assigned to the secret society and basically watch over them and make sure everything's good. And she has this partner named Darlington. We love him. So this book, like, pretty hard to get through the first 50 pages. Like I said earlier, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, but after that it's really easy to fly through. It's such a fun story to read, and I just really like everything about it. So first I'm going to start with the characters. The main character is Alex, or Galaxy Stern. She's Latina, she's a woman of color, and I highly appreciate that because we don't see a lot of women of color in Dark Academia books. And I just love seeing women of color in genres that we don't typically see them in, which are a lot actually. And she can see graves, like I said, and she grew up being able to see ghosts, and she had a very rough childhood, which you actually can see in this book because this book does have like dual timelines, and you see her when she's younger and you see her before and after. I'm not going to say before and after what because that is a spoiler. And then there's Darlington, who also goes to Yale. He's this really, really smart guy. He grew up in a very rich family, but his parents kind of neglected him. And you follow him through the timeline of before and after. And I love Darlington. He is one of my new book boyfriends. He actually reminds me a lot of myself. They both remind me a lot of myself, but different parts of myself. Like, Alex is the very, like, I don't care personality, and Darlington is the very, like, needs to be organized, needs to have everything planned, has every single moment in his life planned out. Like, one thing I can say about this story is Darlington is a Virgo, okay? I know a Virgo when I see one, and Darlington definitely is. I'm just gonna set the book there. I've held it for long enough. So yeah. Now we're gonna get into likes, and one thing I liked about this book was the romance. It wasn't too much romance, but it wasn't like barely a little romance. Like, there are some times when I'm reading books where I kind of want these couples to be together and they have no interaction whatsoever, and I kind of pull the romance out of thin air. Whereas in this book, like, there actually is romance. It's just not a lot of it, which I enjoy. Like, the romance are the pink tabs. There aren't a lot of pink tabs. Like I said, usually I can pull something out of nothing if I really, really wanted to. And that's not saying that, like, the romance isn't there, because it is. But I think it's perfect for people who love romance and then people who don't really care about romance. I absolutely love how dark it was. I do want to say that this book has a trigger warning for almost literally everything. Anything you think of, this book has a trigger warning for it. It's very dark. And I love dark. I love these kind of stories, and honestly this is such a turn from typical Leigh Bardugo books. I don't know, it's like very different, and I really, really like that because I feel like Leigh Bardugo shows how good of a writer she really is. Like, once you, like, Six of Crows and Ninth House are two completely different books, like very completely different books, even though they're both fantasy. This is kind of modern fantasy, not modern fantasy, but more so like contemporary fantasy. It's set in the real world, but it has a lot of fantasy aspects to it. And then Six of Crows is very, very, very fantasy, like deep fantasy, high fantasy almost, because it is set in its own world completely. But they're just two very different books, and I just absolutely love that. And obviously, I love the fact that it's dark academia. I am dark academia trash. I haven't read a lot of dark academia, which is ironic, but I love dark academia when I can get it. And this, it was just amazing. The world building and the magic in this book are just so good. The purple tabs I have are world building and magic, either or. And if you didn't notice, I have more purple tabs than I do pink tabs, which is weird because I love romance a lot, but also I don't mind when there isn't romance. You know, I can do without it sometimes. It depends on how good the story is. And like this book, like it was just so good, and the world building was very good, and the magic system was good. And I feel like this was a very first book in the series, and it did a lot of setting up for the next book, so we know that the next book is just going to be completely amazing. And the fact that Leigh Bardugo, like, it's supposed to come out in 2020, but Leigh Bardugo pushed it back to 2021, like, I already know that the second book in the series is just going to be out of this world, because the way that this book sets up for it is just literally perfection and literally amazing. And how the story was told in general was just really, really interesting to me. Like how like one chapter it would be like set in like winter before, and then the next chapter would be like spring after, and then you will also get a chapter of Alex's childhood, or Darlington's childhood. And I absolutely love that. And honestly, I wasn't confused. Like there are some chapters when I wasn't even paying attention to what the timeline was, and I felt like it just made it, like it was just perfect. Like I didn't pay attention to the fact that it was winter, and I just feel like it transitioned so well. Like you would get a couple of chapters in the present and then a couple of chapters in the past, but like I said, there were most of the time I wasn't reading if I was in the present or the past, and the fact that I could go without, you know, reading that and still not being confused, because your girl gets confused easily. I'm not the brightest pencil in the pencil box. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. So the fact that I wasn't confused, it just shows how well this story was written. The things that I disliked about this book, which is very, very few, I didn't really like how slow the beginning was, but once I reread the book, I didn't even mind, because I was already in love with the characters by the time, like, you know, but my first read of the book, I was already in love with the characters by the end. So when I reread it, I was basically rereading to annotate it for this video specifically, or, you know, just I love to annotate my books in general, just as many times as I read them. By the time that you know, got to the beginning of the book again, I was already in love with the characters, so I got to annotate it, and I didn't really care how slow the beginning was. And to me, it wasn't really that slow reading the second time, because I was already in love with the book. I will say towards the end, it kind of did get a little slow, and I didn't mind that, because once again, I was in love with the characters, so I really didn't care, to be honest. Yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. I will be doing the Poppy War next, and I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in my next video.